All right, well, we're going to discuss right of first refusal. This is another one of the rights and protections that preferred stock shareholders will get in relation to common stock shareholders. So, important to remember that preferred stock shareholders have a bunch of protections and rights that common stock shareholders do not. The right of first refusal is one of them. Essentially, what the right of first refusal means is that if a company sells shares, preferred stock investors have the right to buy them all first before someone else does. So if the company says, hey, we want to do a funding round and we're going to go offer a bunch of shares to a new investor, they can't just go get a new investor and bring a new investor to the table without first offering those shares to the existing preferred stock shareholders. This is really a way that the existing preferred stock shareholders can choose to continue participating with the company and can kind of control which investors are brought in the event of a funding round. So let's talk a little bit about the three cases: investor favorable, middle, or company favorable, and it should give you a good idea of how this works. An investor favorable case would be that the investors, the preferred stock shareholders, have the right to buy all of the shares offered, and they can increase their ownership percentage in the company. So let's say I'm a preferred stock shareholder and I own 20% of the company, and you guys are going to go, the company's going to go sell stock. This is my ownership. The company's going to go sell stock worth 20% more. If the rules were set up as such and I had the appetite in the right of first refusal, I can exercise that and buy all 20%. That would be a really aggressive use case where I could say, hey, I don't want a new investor at the table. The company's doing well. I want to increase my ownership. I'm going to go ahead and buy all those new shares that you guys are offering because you need to raise money. So that's case number one. More common would be a middle case, number two. A large investor, meaning you have to pass some threshold. You can't just be any random preferred stock investor. You have to be, own, let's say, 1/8 of the preferred shares. That you can hold your ownership pro rata in relation to your preferred ownership. So what that means is if I own 20% of all of the preferred stock, that I can participate by buying 20% of any of the stock offered in the new funding round. And so what pro rata means is that I would hold my ownership position relative to the other investors after the funding round. So that allows me to participate, meaning buy more stock in the company, but I don't dilute my ownership percentage. I have the right of first refusal to do that. I can also not do that if I don't want to buy any more shares. So a third option, which would be very company favorable, is you have to own at least a quarter of the Series A to even have this right, and you get to exercise only at the pro rata level as it is in relation to the fully diluted cap sheet structure. So fully diluted would mean you have to take the preferred and the common, and if I'm a preferred stock shareholder that owns 20% of the company, I would only be able to buy 20% of those new shares. Even if I owned 50% of the preferred stock, I'd still only be able to buy 20% of these new shares because I can only participate up to my pro rata level in terms of the fully diluted cap sheet. So there are other videos that will explain what pro rata means and what fully diluted means. But that's what a right of first refusal is that if the company's going to sell additional shares, I as the investor have the right to buy them under certain conditions that can be favorable to me or favorable to the company, but I have the right to buy those shares if I'd like to do so.